Okay, in the shop, 2020 Mercedes AMG C63 two-door coupe with a dent in the quarter panel. So little, go to school here, hood or bonnet, fender, door. These are called rails, not pillars. They're called roof rails. And then quarter panels or wings. Car was brought to me from a certified Mercedes-Benz body shop. I guess for whatever reason, the technician didn't feel comfortable either getting to it or doing it. That's understandable. I like to make these videos for the customer. Most of the technicians that are really good at what they do already know this stuff, but to get to this dent, if you're a customer, you've got to think how I'm going to do that. And this comes into the equation of price. Yes, this is a very small dent. I'll give you that. It's not very deep. But there's two key factors here. One is location. How am I going to get to it? Least amount of intrusion. I'm not drilling holes. Second is I'm dealing with frozen or matte paint. So I've already got the gas pocket taken apart. It's relatively simple. I'm going to kind of walk through what entails in doing that. And then I'm also going to give you guys kind of a hack or a trick if you're in the industry on how to do this with literally zero tools. Okay. First of all, gas pockets really are primarily made up of 3 or 4 things depending on the make of the car. Now, this is the actual pocket system. Okay, this is all injection molded plastic. You're going to see these 4 circles right here, and those are tabs. Those are tabs. And those tabs are what actually hold this thing in, if you can believe that. The second part, now that I'm going to put this back, is you've got your door. Okay, I always recommend you taking this door off first because you don't want to be fussing with trying to get this gas pocket out. Imagine if you hit it. I'm going to bet that this is how this then happened. It's got pressed into it. These are just slid in, okay? These are the rails, slides in, slides out. Second is, I know this seems pretty obvious, but to a lot of people it doesn't. This is your actual, gas cap. Slid in, take it out, do yourself a favor. And then here comes the trick. This little guy here is like a little door, okay? And this is what actually holds this thing in place, okay? And this door slides in here like this and clips in. And then it has a wire that's attached. Okay, plugged in. It's going to come through the hole. When I'm done, I'm going to show you guys how to put it back together. Now here's the real cool trick or hack. It shouldn't even be called that because it should be the only way you should do it. It's my opinion. But once you get this out, you do that by gently pushing down on these 2 clips, okay? Guys, look, it's up in here, okay? There's no clip for it to go into, it's just that rail. And you gotta do one at a time, and you gotta actually hold one down and then go after the second one. Once you do, you can put your hand in through this hole, and you can reach in, and you can push down on that clip, and you can reach in and around and hook and grab that one. That's going to release these 2. This is in. Once that's done, you're just going to take it and you're going to gently wiggle it. I mean, gently. You can be aggressive, but don't be too aggressive. And then you're going to feel 1 or 2 pop depending on which orientation you're wiggling. And then you're going to be able to work this thing out. As you start to work it out, don't forget you got this, which is your overflow drain tube. You're going to want to pull that before you try to get it out. So if you're a customer, understand that. Personally, I wouldn't want this done in the driveway of my home unless I knew the guy who's doing it's a stud at it. If you break that, you kind of got some big problems there. You're going to have to wait for the parts to come in, and at that point you may be ended up towing it. Who knows? If you're a paintless dent repair guy, cool thing about it, man, is you can just get into this entire quarter panel. I mean, you can come all the way to here. You can come in and around here. You can even slide up and get into this rail. So what would be more intrusive? Well, first of all, if you took the taillight out, you're not getting past the gas pocket, so game over there. If you took the bumper off, you may find a way to slide up and in there, but why take all that apart? There's no interior access unless you're gutting the rear seat, you're doing all of that. And let's take a look. You ain't getting in through the fender liner because I can see the inner wheel well through there. This is the way to do that. Now we're going to talk about the dent, see what it looks like. Illuminated, it's about 1.5 inch crease, maybe a 2 inch total, which is important. Dealing with that guy right there. And at this point I could go in here and I could go ahead and fix this dent, really no issue at all. But because really great, amazing paintless dent repair is based on reflection, I'm going to show you guys how I go about it. I've got a little piece of paint protection film here. Eventually I'll get it. Okay. By the way, I don't do PPF, so anybody watching that wants to comment, give me tips, great. I do happen to have a PPF stud right on the same property. So now, kind of just gently squeegee it all out. Okay.
Could you clip your mic to the shirt down?
Is it clipped? All right. I'm just working out any air bubbles or anything right there. So, to the viewing eye, that should look like a pretty glossy piece. So, now, if I come and I take a look at this dent with PPF over it, I'm not just now focused only on like the center. I can actually see the size of this dent right here. I mean, look at the difference in illumination. It's just, remarkable. The other neat thing about applying PPF is when I go to tap down, if I need to, I'm going to try not to. I know that with matte and frozen paint, it really is super sensitive to anything touching it. Back in the day, we used to use Scotch tape. I actually would put rubbing alcohol. It'd dissipate, but it'd really get slick and wet. Doing PPF makes it a little bit easier, and so let's get started on paintless dent repair. I'm going to be leveraging off my left hand, so go ahead and put on a leather glove here. Okay, So I'm putting a little bit of a rubber cap on. Okay, so my hand is pushed up against a gas cap filler neck. Bottom's just going to be a hair too tight since I'm not going to be knocking down to try to explode out with this way. So when I'm watching, a lot of people think paintless dent repair is really super easy. Is micro movements and the tiniest microscopic little pieces that shape and make up the bottom of this dent right now. Now that I've gone to metal directly to the back of metal, I can actually start to work out the center. I've kind of shut down the inner center down a little bit by bringing up the depth with a tool that had a little bit of that rubber cap on there. Now I'm really already going into kind of finishing fine-tune mode. My circumference overall size really hasn't changed, even though what probably is perceived to be a finished dent. I still actually have the whole size of the dent left. It's still about that big. I don't know, Tyler, if you can pick this up or not. Now that we've got a lot of the bottom out, which is the depth, I still have got a pretty good size dent there left. A lot of terminology in that is called leaving it low, but the reality is you just haven't fixed everything. You know, the multitude of paintless dent repair, you know, really is texture, depth, and circumference, and understanding the balance. Sometimes you're going to have dents that you're going to create texture, and you got to learn how to fix that. Sometimes you're going to have dents that are deep, and you're going to have to learn how to navigate that. Sometimes you're going to have dents that feel like no matter what you do, you can't get it to you know, fix all the way flat. And that's the circumference part of it. That's your leading outer edges, you know, being able to identify them. Okay, so now that I've got, I would say, if I had to pick a percentage where I'm at, I would say somewhere around 80. Since I have it at 80, and I've got the bottom kind of filled, you know, you got to think about the dent was like this, but then right in the bottom it had another ravine. I've got that all uniformed. I'm going to go ahead and go back to a little bit more of a blunt tip, rubber tip. And now I'm going to really try to work on lifting and exploding all of it in a bit more broader sense. You know, I was trying to think last night, since you've been doing this together, how many dents I've fixed in my lifetime. Just trying to think about it. And I honestly, oh, dude, it's got to be millions. I was just trying to think about all these hail cars I did with, you know, some roofs with 300, 400, 500 dents. Just a roof, just one panel. I was just trying to think, how many roofs have I fixed like that? And then you add it up, and then you try to start multiplying times the amount of years you've been doing it, and come to a big conclusion that, you know, the amount of years you've been doing it is incredibly important for how I approach this repair. For instance, comes with experience, and you need a lot of time to be able to be in these situations. But then I started thinking about how guys learn, and then they immediately go into, you know, a world where they're fixing just, you know, maybe 10, 15 dents a day. You're working on wholesale cars, you're doing, you know, lot work, so to speak. And if you're one of the lucky people, you go right into doing hail damage. I say that because the amount of metal and repetition that you get right from the beginning is so critical. You're in such a unique advantage. The other thing it does that I think is important, especially if people are watching this and really wanting to learn, is you get into a position where you get your work inspected if you're with the right people. You've been trained and mentored. Maybe you got hired by a small company and, you know, they're really trying to force you to be the best you can be, not about fixing, you know, it to make it look okay. But you get to have your work looked at, and you don't live on your own island thinking, wow, yeah, I'm the best ever right off the bat. Okay, I'm just gonna step away from it for a second. Getting pretty close. We'll start cutting some of these down. It'll be a little bit harder for the camera to pick up, but it's a lot better for me as far as definition is concerned. This off now. All right, I'm going back to a little bit more metal on metal. So here's where you get the potential to make some push marks, which if you ever see a dent that's been repaired and kind of looks like chicken skin, you guys can imagine that. Kind of bumpy and, you know, big poured, and it's really from too much compression metal to metal and then dispersed off, right? Like your pushes aren't tight, your gapping's off, you're gonna get a bad paintless dent repair. Getting pretty close. All right, I gotta back up a little bit more, so I'm gonna back the light up. It's gonna give me even more definition. I'm in the phase now where I'm trying to find anything that I didn't do perfect. Starting to kind of carry in further sections, so start to look at the light as it travels, gets closer to the area where I've worked. I'm starting to pinpoint any type of micro imperfections that I've created or haven't fixed, or it doesn't matter what it is. If it could be factory, if it's in the zone of where I've worked, I'm fixing it. You know what, another really cool thing about this job, if you're a customer, you're kind of curious about like what it entails, or ever had the experience of working with really great paintless dent repair tech is it's one of the few things in this world that you can actually get done by hand still. You cannot buy a suction cup, so don't do it. Don't buy the glue. Don't do it. That's it. I'm done, 100%. It is a perfect repair. A long time ago, if I would have pulled the PPF off, because the way that matte paint is, it would have hid anything that I had left, the last 10%. I wanted to make sure that I'd fix that last 10%. For me, it wasn't even an option. These cars get brought to me for this result, this level of expertise and this experience, and it's it's an honor to be able to do that for people. Let's put it back together. If you wanna, oh, you know what? Let me turn on all the lights here. The viewing public see. Get that out of the way. I know this isn't technically supposed to help, but cool stuff. Gas pocket install time. So I'm really working on trying to get this tube in first. Okay, so overflow tube was connected. Make sure you put that on. One more step to go. Well, two more, I guess, but one more super critical. Make sure you plug this in, and then you want to make sure you lock that down. Okay. You know that that's working perfectly. Got the car locked. Okay. Did I say two more? I meant three more steps. That's going to go on like that. Now, ironically, this car came to me with this taken off. So, just really hope that they didn't break anything. Man, I remember the first time I ever had to do that. I was Nervous. So 91% rubbing alcohol, cleaning it up. If I was a customer, I'd be pretty happy if I saw all of that documented, that one, it got taken apart correctly, two, you got to see it, three, it got put back correctly, the dent was fixed correctly. I think we're a total time, if the magical world of editing, 25 minutes. You can make an argument for someone coming to your house, or you can make an argument for coming here, sitting on your lunch break, dropping your car off, knowing that it's in a controlled environment like this. But anyway, this is for the customers. I hope that you learn something. You see these things, you know, there's something unique about getting this done. So thank you for watching. If you're a fan of what we're doing, super happy that you subscribe. I've spent 23 plus years trying to get to this point. We got some pretty cool stuff that we're going to be working on. Testarossa, GT3. It's kind of really par for the course. Oh, thanks for watching, guys. We're done, man.